Wake up! I'm Doug and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel, and today we are doing coffee number 3, Mexican organic coffee from the Chiapas region of Mexico. So I've bought these beans unroasted, I've roasted them myself, I've ground them myself, and then I brewed it in my automatic drip coffee maker that I use every day. I use the grinder every day too, and the roaster a couple times a week. So we're going to be tasting this stuff and finding out what it's like. Smells rich. Tiny bit of a chocolate note, cocoa. I usually don't taste it very hot. That's a little hot for tasting. I won't get many notes, and plus it'll burn my tongue. So while we're waiting for the first little bit to cool off, I'm going to show you on a map where this coffee comes from. So here's Mexico, and the green parts are coffee growing regions. And this coffee comes from the Chiapas region down here. And actually it comes from a co-op that comes along this coast. So there's a mountain range that's right on the coast. So the towns are all on one little coastal road, and the mountains go up a slope, and that's probably where all the villages and plantations are that grow the coffee. So it smells about the same. I'm going to go ahead and start tasting. It cools off pretty fast in this small glass cup. Right off the bat, there's a chocolate note or cocoa. It's earthy. It's not real bitter. It's not sweet at all. There's a fruitiness that's not very sweet. Like the other Mexican coffee we had in video 2 had some fruit notes and some cocoa notes or chocolate. And this does too, but they're switched around. The fruit was prominent in the coffee number 2, and here the cocoa is prominent. It's a little bit louder than the fruit notes, which are still plum, red plum, black plum, vague fruitiness, not real sweet, not fragrant. There's a meaty red fruit note through it, without being very sweet, but the chocolate's louder. It's an earthiness. It's not real dirty, but it's like this has been growing close to the ground. It tastes like. So that is a good taste. It's rich and full. It's not roasted real dark. It's a medium roast. And the label here has some recommended roasts. Light to medium dark is what they recommend. They say it has been grown from 1,200 to 1,500 meters. The varieties of Arabica beans are Bourbon, Catura, and Typica. I'm sure I'm butchering all those names. And it is from the Chiapas region of Mexico, where I showed you. Fully washed, and it's from a co-op whose acronym is GRAPOS, G-R-A-P-O-S. And I could say it all in Spanish and butcher all that, but I won't. So this is from a different co-op than the Mexican coffee we saw in video 2. So this is all from Chiapas region. It's all organically grown. And it comes from a cooperative group of small farmers or family-owned farms, which aren't big enough to do so many things on their own, but they have a lot of resources when they pool everything together. So again, no bitterness, no profound sweetness. It's kind of a diffuse sweetness all through that plum note that wouldn't strike you as sweet, really. It's not a syrupy sweet, it's a fruity sweet, and it's faint. So the plum note or fruit note might be getting a little louder as it cools off. There's still cocoa and earthiness. And it's real interesting. I like that. And it's pretty cool now. It might be 130, 140 degrees as I finished off that little cup. I like it a lot. So I usually also try these with cream, which I don't do in my daily life, but it is a nice change of pace. If it's a real dark, rich coffee, cream makes it a nice desserty experience in my opinion. So I'm often doing this in a restaurant after dinner. I just don't do it every day. I don't add sugar or cream to my coffee. I want to taste the coffees because I'm a geek. I want to detect the geographical differences, all the terroir differences, and how I'm roasting. I don't go very dark in my roast, and I'm just now getting my bearings on where to put these different kinds of coffees at. So it smells richer, caramely, buttery, butterscotch type notes come off the nose with the cream in there. It's a whole different animal, even on the nose. And then tasting is, wow, rich, caramel, more oily mouthfeel as you might expect. And just delicious. This could convince me to put cream in every day. I like this roast level and the cream going together. I'm tasting lots of rich things I don't usually. So I might dump in cream one day a week as I'm going to work. This is really good. So I'll put a link into the description about the Smokin Beans company where I buy these. I'm often buying 2-pound bags if they're more expensive. Like this was $23.35 for a 2-pound bag. And my other Mexican was only $4 a pound for a 5-pound bag. So a significant difference in price. And it doesn't necessarily tell you that one's better than the other one. This is not better than the 5-pound one. It's just that this is reflecting the rarity, I think. The 5-pound bags in their wholesale list, where they just get much more of the coffee from that other co-op. This one sends them less. So that is a good creamy, something like a candy bar note in there. I don't know which candy bar it is. Maybe the caramel and a payday. The nuttiness and caramel, and there's a lot of saltiness there, but that's not in this, I don't think. It's making me think something about a payday. So this taste is just great, even with the cream, which I don't usually do. So I don't want to. Okay, I'm going to go back to black. I better get a cup with no cream in it. And then I'm going to talk about the other topic. So I've been thrown off balance by all this COVID-19 stuff. My work requirements have picked up a little bit. I wasn't able to go out to restaurants or local roasters or things like that to shoot things out in the wild. So I've just been taking a month to regain my balance and figure out a way to go forward. So I'm going to slow down the videos to once a week. I've been doing Mondays and Thursdays for a long time, but I'm just going to post on Mondays and stretch out the coffee videos, and hopefully in a few months I will be able to go back out into the wild of New Orleans, which is a pretty good coffee city. I need to wash away some of the cream in my mouth because this is tasting fairly different afterwards. Or not tasting at all as my mouth is coated with oils. So I've been very discombobulated for these first two coffee videos before this, and I didn't mention basic things like like and subscribe and click the bell to get notified when the new videos come out every Monday. And I've also forgotten to thank God for all the wonderful flavors and aromas and tastes that He puts into our food and drink. And He doesn't have to do that, but wants to give us some pleasure and have all those things point to Him. And I will try to remember to say such things. Every video gives you the opportunity to forget to say something, and I usually do. So my other topic is other online resources or coffee education things that I have found very useful. And the first item is the George Howell videos. So he started a coffee company in Boston. Coffee Connection, I think, was the name of it. It's like a little set of coffee shops around the Boston area in the 70s. And he became a roaster and became a buyer and got involved in the coffee industry. So he watched everything go from very commodity oriented to now he's very focused on single source and trying to get the best coffees he can from individual growers or small co-ops and getting those things into his shops where he's roasting. So he doesn't have the shops anymore, but he does have a roasting business. And I'm sure he's a consultant for lots of things. So my playlist on my other channel starts off with videos of him at a coffee shop. It's a combination bike shop and coffee shop somewhere in Boston. And he's just going over his history and how he learned all these things by trial and error, mostly error. And it's just interesting to see him interact with the crowd and see what a depth of knowledge he has about roasting and buying and brewing. So the first 4 videos are about 30 minutes long, interacting with the crowd who are tasting coffee that he's brought along and preparing for them. And the crowd's giving feedback about that, and that's really good. And then after that, 2 hours of content in those 4 videos, and I have a few of his brewing style, brewing tips videos. So that's what's in the playlist, and then that's followed by maybe some Seattle coffee gear videos, which is a real interesting channel, and I found them useful as well. So, okay, this is back with the fruitiness and the coffee, and the chocolate and the earthiness. So I think I've gotten most of the cream out of my taste buds and rinsed off that oily layer. And this is, again, fruity, earthy, cocoa notes. Nothing real bitter, nothing real dark. It's rich without being in the direction of burnt or over toasted. And then the other resource I want to mention is this wonderful book called Coffee Obsession by Annette Moldvaer. So this book is interesting because it has so many different topics. So you just thumb through and there's a 2-page spread on almost anything you want to know about. So how coffee got started as a beverage, as a drink, as an item of trade, and then all the different kinds of coffees and how the cherries grow on a tree, and then the family tree of different varieties and species, and how you grow, where it grows, Arabica versus Robusta. It's a very interesting book. So a flavor wheel on flavors you might get in coffee. Then lots of different brewing techniques. Roasting, grinding, brewing, different ways of making. But my favorite part are the maps. So India, Sumatra, everything in the eastern hemisphere is covered in here with wonderful maps of the places it grows, different countries, growing regions, and what they're called and what the characteristics are. So if you don't have to be roasting your own to be interested in these regions, because a good coffee shop, just even Whole Foods, is going to have a variety of more or less freshly roasted beans from lots of different places in the world. So knowing what you're going to end up with is part of that. So this has great summaries of all the different growing regions around the world and what the characteristics are and what you're likely to find. So I just love this book. And then there's recipes for how to make all sorts of coffee drinks and the usual brewing methods. So this has been invaluable to me as I've been learning more and more about coffee. Let me remind you to like and subscribe and click the bell to get notified when the videos come out on Mondays. So stay tuned for all that and watch our video 4.